Well, hello again, and welcome to the VK6CS Fun with Amateur Radio channel, putting the fun back into amateur radio. There we are. It's starting to look a little more. Starting to look a little more. I won't pan out anymore. A little more like an amplifier, isn't it? There's the got the tune, the load controls now sticking through the front panel. This front panel, by the way, is going to be painted black, so I've got to take the meters off and just taking the knobs off is not much of a problem because it's only a case of undoing the grub screw and they'll come off the shafts and the panel will just come off. And behind here I've used some insulated shaft couplers. They don't have to be insulated actually, but they're the only ones that I had that would fit the 6mm shafts. And what I've done there is just extend the shafts through the front panel through grommets, just to give it a nice, I don't know, just to seat it nicely as the shaft goes through the front panel. So it used to, years ago, you used to be able to get those sort of a bit of shaft with like a pot mounting thing in the middle, you know, with a nut on it, with a bearing in it, and you could put that in the front panel and you could put the knob on one side, put the coupler on the other side, and it was really nice, but can't seem to get those anymore, so I just had to compromise with that. I've mounted the tuning capacitors, and if I turn the knob, there we go. So that's a 500 picofarad tuning capacitor. That's my hand for scale on the 500 puff tuning cap. And there's the antenna load capacitor. That's my shoes rubbing together, by the way. That's not because I had chili and beans for dinner last night, although I did have chili and beans for dinner last night. So there we go, that's the 1500 puff load capacitor. As you can see, these are bolted together. Pardon me, they both have the same footprint, these capacitors. And what I did was to get them elevated a bit, I didn't want them sitting down on the chassis, I cut some tubing. Actually, I'll just show you the I changed my mind about the tank circuit. Instead of having it vertical behind the front panel, I thought I'd have it horizontal because it's easier to mount that way. All I had to do was just make this bracket, you know, cut a bit of aluminium there, cut a bit of right angled aluminium there, make a bracket, same there, and a couple of supports for the tank coil, and have the tank coil hanging there because the band switch, you know, is going to be about there, so you know, tap wires are going to come off and go onto this. And as a temporary measure, what I've done is I mounted the tank coil so that it could be detached with these things here. And there we go. So it just pops on and off with those two posts there, because there's going to be a little bit of jiggery pokery with the tank coil to make that, get it right, I suspect. And what these things are is these things here. They're replacement erasers for my Parker mechanical pencil. I tend to use a mechanical pencil quite a lot. There it is, Parker mechanical pencil, and that's where the eraser goes in the top there. This one's quite well worn down, as you can see, because I make a lot of mistakes. Hard to believe, I know, but true. Now, what was I going to show you with the tank coil removed? Oh yeah, of course, the valve, the PA module's removed. That is sitting there at the moment. I had to get that out of the way to do the metal bashing. I didn't want to put any vibration through the valve, obviously. Okay, so down here, there we go, got some 25mm aluminium tube. I just cut them to length with a pipe cutter, and the two tuning capacitors stand on 4 of those. You can see that there. I can't quite see the camera, but anyway, there's two at the back. I can just see one there. See one there. There's two at the back. One there, and two at the front. Just to keep this structure nice and rigid. I mean, that's not going to go anywhere. And get the capacitors at the right height. So that's that's as far as I've got with it. As you can see, I've taken the HT transformer out again. It's only 4 wires, you know, AC in and high volts out. It's very easy to wire that in and disconnect it. It's just a case of lifting it up and dropping it into that space there. So that's the high voltage going out there through the nylon gland over to the other side, around here. That's the high volt feed to the PA compartment. So it is coming on, slow but sure. This tank coil is I think it's 6.25 microhenry, the tank coil. Now that may very well do for testing purposes on either 80 or top band. It's probably a little bit high for 40, but I'll give it a try anyway, and from there I can work out what I need to do for the other bands. And the PA, the die-cast box that sits under the PA, there we go. Yes, I didn't like that plug on there either really, but for testing it and getting it right, I thought it was the easiest way to do it. Whether I'll hardwire it afterwards or not, I don't know. But I've got to take the FET out because it didn't work very well, and put the 2N3055 in. 2N3055 here, and a couple of Zeners just to sort the bias out. So there we go. It is actually coming along, and it is actually beginning to start to look a bit like a HF linear amp. So the switches have still got to go here, and I'm really dreading this, you know, because I've cut all the meter holes and they all came out really nice, and these holes here in the right place, there's not all nice nasty oval holes behind it, so they all came out really well. So I'd be really disappointed if I fudge up the mounting the switches. And the other thing too is there's got to be the input tuning control or controls here. It's probably going to be 2 of them, and band switch here somewhere. So the band switch will be level with the anode tune, so somewhere there maybe. And then a couple of smaller knobs probably for the input tuning, probably either side of it down there. So it's got a linear sort of appearance to it. So there we go. Seriously old school, but I can't be bothered with FETs. And on paper at least, this thing looks this looks so much simpler. I mean, you can draw the circuit diagram of a triode grounded grid amplifier for HF on a fag packet, can't you? And when you put it together, it looks a bit like this. Okay, well, hope you found that interesting, as always. Many thanks for watching. Did I give you the hand on the coil for scale, maybe? And those rather spiffy supports. Thank you, Mr. Parker. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.